Hey guys, my name is Jalia and you're watching Disney Channel. Sorry.
I got that. What is good, podheads? Welcome to episode 12. I've got a great guest today. This is Jalia. I don't know your last name, honestly.
West,
Jalia West. And we're going to be talking about Jalia's life here in Charlotte and how she got here, honestly. So you were born in Connecticut, correct?
in Connecticut, Waterbury, Connecticut.
All right, actually, hold up. First of all, welcome to Podheads.
Thank you.
We typically
Hi.
start here at the beginning, and you are from Connecticut, so let's start there. All right, so what part of Connecticut? Sorry to interrupt you.
I'm from Waterbury, Connecticut.
Waterbury?
Yeah.
And growing up there, what were like some things that you were interested in and stuff? I've never been to Connecticut, and for those, give us a little background on Connecticut, what you did growing up.
Oh, Connecticut is a place that is next to Massachusetts and New York, so I'm not going to lie, like, we just really rep New York or Massachusetts. We have nothing. We don't have any sports. All right, no. We have UCONN. I went to UCONN. That school's amazing.
Go Huskies.
Yes. National champs. Life growing up in Connecticut, I cheerlead for a majority of my life. I was a cheerleader.
When did you start doing that?
Early 2000s, when I was like 6 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that like something you took through like middle school and you were doing for the schools and stuff like that, or was it mostly just like the competitive stuff as far as like the tumbling and all that extra stuff?
So it's funny when you ask about Waterbury. Back then there weren't like really good programs for cheerleading or anything of that sort. So it wasn't more so on the competitive aspect, even though we did compete. It wasn't like all-star, which is probably what you're thinking. On the outskirts, I guess, of Waterbury, there are really good teams, but pretty much I didn't plan on being a cheerleader forever. I actually was a baton twirler, and once my coach quit baton twirling, I went back to cheerleading.
Yeah.
And ended up cheerleading in college. It's interesting.
So I gotta ask more about Connecticut though. What is someone from Connecticut called? Because like a North Carolinian or someone from North Carolina is considered a North Carolinian. Is it like a Connecticut or like?
I guess you would say like Connecticutian. I know like where I'm from specifically, like we're Waterburyans. Yeah.
Okay, Waterburyans. That's actually kind of fire. That sounds like some barbarian shit for real. So with the cheerleading stuff, did you do anything else as far as sports go? Were you into like softball or anything like that?
So outside of cheerleading, like I said, I did baton twirling. I was like into music. I played the flute when I was younger.
Did you do that for like the school band or anything?
I did. Hot Cross Buns, that was my song right there. And
I think everyone and their grandmother did. Did you learn that on the recorder?
I learned it. Did we learn it on the recorder?
We had a recorder like class or something like that when I was growing up. I can't remember what grade, but Hot Cross Buns, that was the only song I remember learning how to play, but we played it probably a million times.
I feel like if you put a flute in front of me right now, I could play Hot Cross Buns.
Really?
Yeah.
You think you could beat Lizzo in like a flute battle?
Absolutely not. Maybe no.
That's funny as fuck. She's up there like dancing on stage and performing and singing and all that stuff. I cannot even imagine that, honestly.
While playing the flute.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
So, what year did you graduate high school?
High school? Woo! Way back in 2016.
2016, all right. So
Yep.
You were the year after me. So, and you went to UCONN.
I did.
Was that like a dream school for you growing up in Connecticut? No?
No, and I think that's why I ended up in North Carolina, because I ended up going to school in Connecticut. I never left Connecticut. I don't regret that school though, like for everything that I went there for, nursing, a great nursing program, and then the sports aspect of it back then. I mean, basketball for sure.
Did they win any national championships when you were there?
No.
Dang.
They started losing when I got there.
Oh, man. I went to ECU, and they were, like, somewhat decent at football before I got there. And then when I got there, they started shitting the bed. But they were ranked for a while before I got there, so I was super amped up. And then my freshman year when I got there, I think they They might have broke even, but I don't know if they did after that. I'm pretty sure they had losing records for the rest of the time.
I definitely think they beat us in football because we did not have the best football team at the time.
We were in the same conference.
We were in the same
I just now realized that.
Yes.
That's crazy. I wonder, did you ever go to any like ECU games when they played sports against each other?
Oh yeah, because I had no choice but to be there.
You were a cheerleader.
I was the captain of my team.
Man. So what was the like coolest like stadium or like coolest sporting event that you got to cheerlead at?
Oh, I'm gonna give it to being in Madison Square Garden.
That's dope.
So huge.
What game was that?
Ugh.
It was basketball, I assume.
Yeah, I feel like it was during Elite Eight. It might have been.
Oh, it was
the
March
men's.
Madness?
Yeah,
Oh,
March
shit.
Madness.
I know, that was
my
crazy.
birthday's in March, so I take a lot of pride in March Madness because my teams are always gonna be there no matter what.
What are you, at Aries?
I'm a Pisces.
Pisces. I didn't mean to offend you, my bad.
You did. You
Yeah.
saw that, right?
Yeah.
I'm a Pisces.
My bad. So the Madison Square Garden game, that was like probably the best game that you cheerleaded at in college?
One of, because that's 4 years of March Madness, 4 years of 3 different team season, women's basketball, men's basketball, football. So, like, there were a lot of good memories in all of that time. So
we hear a lot of, I'm glad you brought up you being a cheerleader because I kind of forgot about that when we first met. You did bring that up.
Me too.
But, so I've heard a lot about from athletes in college that play sports such as like football, basketball, softball, baseball, and how that's like a job as well as going to school, and it kind of takes the fun out of it as well. It doesn't seem like they're playing a sport anymore. Like I said, it feels more like a job. Is that kind of how like cheerleading was?
it really was. Looking back, I wish I partied more in college.
Really?
Like, I can probably count on one hand how many times I went out.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it was not just that I was cheerleading and that was a job. I was in nursing school.
I was going to say that.
I had class, I had clinical, and I worked at least 2 jobs throughout the school year. So,
dang.
Yeah, I was busy.
I only worked a job and went to school. Like, I can't even imagine doing the cheerleading too, and like, let alone nursing, because at ECU, I know it was probably one of the most, if not the most competitive field to like major in or concentration.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was the same. Yeah.
That's like across the board. Pre-pandemic, at least, I feel like it's a different case now with nursing. I know it's still hard, but school has definitely changed since the pandemic.
Besides like nursing and cheerleading, was there any like interest that you had outside of school that you were, I mean, like you said you had a job and stuff like that, but were you doing anything like hobby wise just for the fun of it, or you probably didn't even have time to do anything?
Hobby wise, no, but like I was in student organizations, and I mean, I guess you can consider that a hobby. That's something I did back in high school. I was in student government, and then it carried on into college. I was doing organizations. Like, I've always been used to being so active.
Yeah.
So looking back, I'm like, now that I'm older and I get tired a lot quicker, I'm like, how did I do that? But at the time, like, it was just routine for me, all of that.
So it wasn't that you didn't want to party in college, though. You really didn't even have enough time.
I did not have enough time.
Dang. So was nursing like was that something you always wanted to like major in, even when you were in high school and stuff like that? Like when you were planning to go to college, is that what you were trying to go to school for, or you just wanted to get to school and then figure it out from there?
By senior year, I was like, I'm going to be a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
But initially, like, I always thought I was going to be a veterinarian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, until I realized, like, it's not just dogs and cats. Like, it's snakes.
Yeah, it's everything.
Rats. Ferrets.
Is that what turned you off from?
Yeah, absolutely. But I, like, as a kid, I had Animal Planet on every single day. Like, after school, it was Animal Planet.
Shout out Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crocodile hunter. That was my
Shaking
dog.
my head.
Yeah, for real.
But, like, yeah. The, what was my favorite one? Ugh. The meerkats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to love Animal Planet, man. I don't even know if that's still a channel anymore.
I don't know. Who watches cable anymore, though?
I was going to say, I don't know anyone that, because like you can YouTube TV stuff or like stream it now, but I don't even know if Animal Planet exists anymore. That sucks if not. So nursing was something you had like kind of honed in on though, like your senior year?
Yeah, my English teacher was throwing shade, and he's like, I think you should just go be a nurse. And then I started looking into it, and like, I'm like, this profession is so versatile. Like, I can do a 9 to 5 with it if I want. I can work night shift, day shift. It's flexible. I could be a baby nurse. I could be a maternity nurse, children nurse, like pediatric nurse. I could really do anything with it. And then I saw the salary at the time, and I'm like, I'm really into this. So I got right into UCONN's nursing program. God is good, because it's a very difficult program to get into. So many people struggled. I recall meeting people that couldn't get in until they did their first year of college. So I immediately got into the program, and for 4 years, like, it was pretty much a strict plan for how to succeed really in nursing school.
What was the biggest challenge for you besides being a cheerleader and working jobs and stuff like that? From just the school aspect, what was the biggest challenge?
Oh, specifically,
it could have been like a class, or maybe you had a certain professor, or maybe it was like
Bio 1107. I didn't like my professor.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, I still don't like you. It was so difficult because it's one of those core classes. It's one of the first classes you're taking. So if you're coming into college and you never really had to work too hard to study, like, it was a culture shock for me.
Was high school pretty easy going though for grades and stuff like that?
Yeah. I was always in honors.
Oh yeah.
And like, I feel like I did the bare minimum.
And still was on top.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to a great school though. I went to an art school in high school.
Was it a private school?
It was a lottery-based school, so you had to apply to get in.
Okay.
And from 6th grade up to 12th grade, I was in the same school.
So it wasn't like a middle and high school, or it was a combination of a middle and high school, I guess.
Yeah. It was interesting, but I mean, we had like your basic academic classes, and outside of that, like, I was in dance class.
Really?
So in the middle of my school day, like, I'm going to dance.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
My little brother goes to a school like that where it's a private school in Greensboro, but they have like 6th through the 12th grade, but their classes are super small. And honestly, ever since he's gone there, it's been really good for him, because the teacher, it's more personable when you're building relationships with those kids rather than having 30 kids in a class when you're seeing 4 different of those classes a day. Literally. Or 6 different depending on what schedule it is. But yeah, I think that's a lot better for kids in a sense to have that, especially in, like, so in college, UCONN's classes were probably massive, I assume.
Huge.
How many kids go to that school, do you know?
Oh my God.
I think ECU was 30,000, so I would assume UCONN was around the same.
It was up there. It was definitely in those big thousands.
Is nursing the biggest program as far as, like, is that what brings in the most at UCONN? Because at ECU, I'm 99% sure it's nursing.
I couldn't say. I really didn't get into those type of politics. Like,
Gotcha.
I literally just went there and existed.
And it just worked itself out.
That's all. Like,
yeah.
I know nothing.
So what kind of planning were you doing to, like, get a job straight out of college then? And, like, was the pandemic that affected you, I'm sure?
I didn't even get to have a graduation.
So you were that year then?
Oh, I graduated virtually.
Is that 2019?
2020.
2020. Dang.
Yes, seems like forever ago.
So that kind of sucks. What was that like? Take us through that.
My favorite word, anticlimactic. Like, it literally, it's like you go to college and then you're expecting these last 3 months, or last 2 months, March, April, May, whatever, to be so much fun. Like, this is it. Like, you passed all your classes. You know you're going to graduate. And then you don't get to have a graduation. And so it felt like I just did all this work and I don't even get to reap the biggest benefit that comes out of leaving college.
Yeah.
Getting a job was not hard as you can imagine.
Especially for a nurse at that time. They were probably like hired left and right because it was a crazy time.
But like, we weren't thinking like that. So when the pandemic was happening, initially, like, they were laying people off of jobs. No one knew what to do. So in a sense too, like, I was nervous that I wasn't going to get the job that I applied for. I ended up taking a job that I didn't necessarily care for, but it worked out in my favor. So I wanted to be a pediatric nurse right out of college. I ended up working at Yale and being a med surg nurse, but things always work themselves out, because then travel nursing was this big thing, and having that med-surg background, it's like the foundation. It's the fundamental of nursing. So it worked how it was supposed to work, I'll say.
Did you have a fallback for if like the nursing thing wasn't going to work itself out like it did? Or you just kind of guaranteed yourself that it was
I
gonna work?
guaranteed it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I did 4 years of school, 4 years of stressing for this.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other option.
Uh-huh.
But now that I'm 3 years into my career now, I think, what's today? The 23rd?
Yeah.
I think 3 more days makes my 3rd year of nursing anniversary.
Man.
3 years that I became a nurse.
They've flown by, I'm sure.
It flew by, as you can imagine.
So, just to back it up a little bit before we get more into the nursing, for the cheerleading and the pandemic stuff, because you cheerleaded the entirety of college, right?
Yeah.
So did that cut short some
Oh
of
my
your last
God.
games and stuff?
We were just at our first game of March Madness. It was my birthday. It was March 9th, and we left the basketball game, and they sent out an alert that we were not cheering at any more games to limit the amount of people that are exposed to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was spring break. I'm in Mexico with my homegirls. This is my first college spring break because I'm used to just being so busy.
Yeah.
And then they tell us, like, you guys got to move your stuff out of school. You got to get out of here.
Dang.
It's over.
And y'all were pretty close to New
Oh my
York,
gosh.
too.
Yes.
And that was like
right there.
yeah.
And we actually flew into New York from Mexico. We flew into New York. So this is like the start of the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
Like, everyone's got masks on. Like, we're scared to even touch New York because we
Yeah.
think it's airborne and we're going to catch it. Like, it was crazy.
God, just thinking back on that time, how fucking nuts and how quick it happened too. Like it was like it went from literally us being like, wow, we got an extra week of school off, and then it was like,
It was
wow.
over.
Yeah, it was like, actually no, school's done. Damn, bro. So like that cut short. Like, did you already have a senior night?
We had our senior night. Yeah, we did. For basketball, yep.
So wait, that was before March Madness then. What other sports would have been left then for the school year that you would have been even
That was
cheering
it,
at?
because
It would have been
football
basketball?
ended in, like, Thanksgiving. And then basketball started October and ended March, right at the Final Four. Or no, you know what I mean. March Madness.
I gotcha. That's a good pausing point, and then when we come back, we're gonna jump back into fresh out of college and that first couple years of nursing and how that's been for you. But gotta reload these batteries, and a word from our sponsors if we ever get some. So be right back, y'all.
One day I'm going to be a sponsor.
Bet. Yeah, you heard it first here. Jalia's going to be one of our sponsors one day. So we'll be all right. Welcome back. Got Jalia West here, and we left off where the pandemic kind of cut you short of some of the March Madness festivities and stuff like that. And we also were starting to pick up where you just had gotten a job out of college nursing, and you said it wasn't too hard because of the pandemic and everything like that. But what was it like for you to get a job during something like the pandemic when no one had experienced anything like that before? We were all terrified, and you're going to literally like the front lines, like the most essential worker that we needed to work. And you were getting a job in that. What was that like?
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I was excited.
Oh, really?
I wasn't scared. I was excited because I was honored to be someone on the front line and helping people. You said you met a lot of nurses. Like, naturally, we're compassionate. Like, we really do care about people. And most nurses go into the profession not for the money, but because they're compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going into it. I mean, I was ready to deal with the COVID and to be putting the mask on and everything. I would say I got a really great position. Now, COVID had a big effect on these new grads and getting good pay. Like, I know you usually start at the bottom of the pole.
Mm-hmm.
We were coming in and making good money because, you know, as you can imagine, a lot of people wanted to leave. A lot of older nurses retired because they were terrified about the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So when a lot of us came in, we were making more money than people that had already been nurses for a while. But that was because they were really trying to recruit people, like, come and do this. So, yeah, that was cool.
Do you feel like school prepared you for that?
I knew that was coming.
Okay.
No. And it was so unfair in a sense because it's like we had to be the practice dummies for that. Like, nothing could have prepared you for a pandemic. None of us were prepared.
Running out of room in, like, the hospitals and stuff like that.
I will say, by the time I got there, so I started working in 2020, of course. I got there in August. The pandemic had started in March. So I will say it probably settled down a whole lot. Mm-hmm. Like, I know everyone was hearing stories about how there wasn't any PPE. People were reusing their same gowns. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the case by the time I got there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no.
Did it seem like a pandemic had just ran through that, like, hospital? Was it still, like, apocalyptic in a way? Because in towns and stuff, it was like, you know, no one's on the roads and stuff like that, but, you know, hospitals are the opposite. They're super packed. Was it still kind of packed, though? Like,
yeah, because especially, so by August, by the summer, the numbers had went down for the pandemic. And so people that were in the house during the pandemic, they weren't coming to hospitals because they were scared. Mm-hmm. So they were going untreated for so long with some of their conditions. So it was packed because now people are coming with their other sicknesses that they weren't treating that whole time. Like, people were really, really sick. Even now, I'll say it's starting to die down, at least as far as I've seen working in North Carolina. But it's like, you know, for example, if you have a diabetic and they're having a chronic issue going on at home, but they're terrified to come into the hospital, they're going untreated for all those months, and that's a very serious condition. Yeah. So people are coming in and their feet are ready to fall off, and, like, they're really, really sick with infections and stuff.
This is all due because they're scared to go into those hospitals because of COVID, not even because, like you said, that's crazy.
Yes.
So that causes a whole lot more, like, that causes a whole nother dynamic for y'all when things from COVID do die down, and then everyone starts to come back to the hospitals. Domino effect. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So the workload has not stopped at all or decreased, really. It's only
not really. And most recently I was working in surgery, so I guess too a lot more people are coming in for surgeries they could have had years ago. So you said initially you were trying to do pediatric nursing. Yeah.
So at this point in the pandemic, what was the, like, is it called a concentration, or what is it still pediatric, or what was it?
For me right now?
No, during the pandemic.
Med surg. So even what I'm doing now, surgery, I was in med surg. I almost burped.
It's all good. That would have been funny. Anytime I have burped on it, I normally put it at the beginning or the end as a little intro or something, like a little B-roll thing. It's kind of funny. But if you got a burp, you should have.
Because I got to hurt. I left it there. Yeah. So I just went straight into med surg, which is just general practice, basically. Like, if you got admitted to the hospital because you had a stomach ache and it ended up being something worse than a stomach ache,
we would come in contact with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, as a traveler, I'm floating around the hospital, so I'm going to many different areas, but we just call it med surg. It's medicine and surgery.
And what was the first hospital you were in?
Yale.
That's cool. Was it on their campus?
No, so Yale is in New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay.
Pistol Wave in New Haven is what they call it. And
is that because it's in, like, the backwoods, or?
It's
Pistol Wave in New Haven. That's catchy, though.
It is catchy, right? I actually learned that from my teammate. She was from New Haven.
That's funny.
Shout out to Ari. She was cheering for the Celtics. That's my girl.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's lit.
So, no, New Haven has Yale, the school, in it. I mean, Yale is an entity that's kind of taken over New Haven. It's almost gentrifying New Haven in a sense. So it's not on campus, but if you really look at New Haven, like, everything is Yale. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's how ECU was. If it weren't for ECU, then Greenville, North Carolina would not really be much. And it's like you said, it's sort of gentrified, though. Even when I was there, I noticed from, like, even post school, I lived there for like 2 years. So in total, I was in Greenville for about 6 years, but I could tell a crazy difference. They had built bridges over like lower income areas just so people didn't have to drive through it on the way into campus and stuff like that. It's crazy to see. So what was the like biggest, besides like, you know, COVID, obviously, what was the biggest initial shock when you became a nurse and you got that first, you know, day on the job? What was a big culture shock for you?
Gosh. Whew.
I mean, I'm sure COVID was probably like the overwhelming majority just because that was just such a crazy thing to go through.
It was, but seeing how like nurses aren't protected, like I got assaulted by a patient while I was on orientation.
Do they not have like security at the hospital?
They do.
But they're not, I mean, they can probably only do so much.
They're not on the unit. So it's like if something's going to happen, it's going to happen before security gets there.
Like in the room with the patient?
Yeah.
So you got assaulted?
I got assaulted,
How far into your journey of nursing was this? Because that's insane.
Like on week 4.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So you got COVID going on, and then you got patients swinging at you when you're trying to... What was going on?
I swing at me.
Are you allowed to talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can't mention any names, obviously. So, like, what was the, like, give us the setup. What was going on?
All right. So, this is something I love about the hospital I worked at in North Carolina. There's single patient rooms. So, in Yale,
as opposed to where they would have multiple patients in the same room, as in those patients don't know each other at all.
Exactly.
Dang, that's crazy.
How it was. So it's like, instead of your eyes just having to be on one person, your eyes should have really been on 2 people.
Yeah.
And so the situation is that I'm with another patient while the patient that's supposed to be on the other side of the room is coming out the bathroom, but they got to walk past this patient's room. Or half of the room.
Yeah.
And the patient walked into me with their private part. Yeah.
Oh, was it an old guy, old lady,
wow,
lady, guy? Who was it? What was it?
The
Not
person
who was,
was middle-aged.
Man, and you can't say if it was a girl or a guy?
I don't want to go to jail for HIPAA violation.
Okay, yeah. No,
I don't know if that counts.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a good point.
You still can't identify them.
Regardless, it's private parts on you, so that's disgusting. Middle-aged person too. So were they loony or? You can't go into all that either, huh?
I will say that there was a history of that, and so on our end as nurses, not my end specifically, and I won't even say as nurses, healthcare providers, anyone that cared for the patient should have had a flag in his chart.
That's what I was going to ask, is there red flags for stuff like that for y'all to be able to know?
There can be, but it's like, and the reason I took back saying about nurses is because that's putting more pressure on our job that we have, but like to have to add that into something. So, yeah, I mean, my job just made me press charges against the person. And
was this why you were carrying on the other patient in the room?
Yeah. So the crazy thing is, like I said, I was a brand new nurse. You know, it might have not even been 4 weeks. It might have been week 2.
That's crazy.
It might have been week 2. I remember what floor I was on too.
Talk about welcome to like your career for real.
So a patient across the unit had coded. So my preceptor wasn't.
What's coded?
Oh, they they died, and they were trying to bring the person back to life, and that's why I ended up in that room by myself.
Dang.
Initially, I was with another person. So
it was like the perfect storm for this person
to literally.
What the?
That's why I'm like, I don't know if you were really not intact psychologically, because
you had to like kind of like they were planning that, or no? You couldn't be planning that. Like what? I don't know. That's crazy, man.
But I say this to say that I think the biggest shock in it all is how you as a nurse, you're not just taking care of the health issue that they're there for. If they have a psych history, you're dealing with that. So I wear many hats in med-surg, I'll say that. So what I'm doing, I wear a lot of hats because I can see surgery, I can see general, whatever someone might be there for, whether it's GI issues, respiratory issues, skin issues, like whatever it is, I'm dealing with all of it. But I'm also a psych nurse.
Yeah.
On top of it all. I remember one time this patient asked for a cup from someone, and they peed in it, and then they asked for cotton balls, and their plan was to throw the cotton balls at us.
What, like soak it in the pee? And
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah, psych stuff.
What?
But again, when you're there for something else, like you have to come to med surge.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild.
I honestly had never, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Same thing for like, I guess I had thought about it in this instance for like cops and stuff, because I've watched a lot of like live PD and stuff, but when they're taking people to jail, they're taking people to jail that have obviously done something wrong, but they're also dealing with the people who are just crazy. Even though they've done something wrong, they're there just because they're trying to get off the street, or they're trying to do something to the car. Like, it's crazy, man. That is crazy. Have you ever had like an instance where you had to call security on someone? I'm sure you had to call security that time, huh?
I mean, when people are in alcohol withdrawal, they can't help what they do sometimes, because it's altering their brain when they're withdrawing, or alcohol in general. It's gonna alter your brain's chemistry, and sometimes the behaviors are erratic and they're manipulative and irrational, and it's like you have no choice but to call security at that point, or you're gonna put yourself in harm's way.
When you first start and you're like your first couple weeks on the job, are you supposed to be with someone who's kind of like a veteran who's been doing that, or do they just like throw you into the fire?
Oh yeah, so it's, again, starting in the pandemic, you got thrown into the fire.
True.
But you do have a training period, so you're orienting just like you would at any job.
Yeah. For
X amount of time. So it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, depending on what specialty you're going into.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were med surg?
Med-surg, yeah.
So what other specialties were you into besides pediatric and med surg, or have you've only been med surg since then?
Pretty much, yeah.
And you're a travel nurse?
Yeah.
So what other cool, I mean, Yale, it sounds like a dope place in my opinion, just because Yale has a history behind it in my opinion, but like,
it does.
What other cool hospitals have you worked at or been to?
I've worked in Massachusetts.
In Boston? Or
I worked in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Which is the gutter. Again,
oh, okay.
Just like New Haven. It's a scary place, but similar patient population.
What's the most common thing you see in the med surg like specialty? Most common like illness or injury or whatever it is.
See, it's hard to say now, because for the past 9 months I've been doing surgery. So for the most part, I see broken hips. Take care of your elders, because so many people come in from a fall, like an older person, and their bones are so fragile. And they break their hips, and they hurt their backs and their knees.
What do y'all do if someone comes in and they're like an older age and they don't have family and they have to have like care at home or something like that? Do y'all have to like not prescribe them, or I guess assign someone to them?
Well, that's more so a case management and social work thing.
Doesn't have anything to do with the nurse?
To an extent, like, it's our job to kind of get that information and start sharing it with the medical team. But as far as finding placement and everything, it's all on case management.
What if they have something that, like, it's an illness or a health related issue where you have to let a family member or something like that know? It went out?
I'm good now.
Is it back?
Yeah.
All right, my bad.
If they have the cognitive availability to be able to make a decision for themselves, they can make that decision despite their age. However, if they have like dementia and Alzheimer's and they're not able to make that decision for themselves, that's when courts get involved, and it becomes a legal matter, and then you have to find conservatorship, and now you have a conservator that's who's making the decisions for your health plan.
That sounds a lot more in depth than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's why like they really urge you to have a living will, to have all that stuff in order. Like when we're admitting people, that's one of the first things we're asking.
Is who's in your will, or who's
do you have one? Do you have an advance directive? Like,
Oh.
Yeah. Because there could be family drama too. Like, someone's status could change. You could come in perfectly normal and then not be able to talk or make your own decisions. at some point, and now your family's fighting with each other because you don't have it written what your plan was for yourself.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm sure is a pretty big reoccurring
Absolutely.
problem, because who thinks of just having their, like, no, that's a morbid thing to think about in a way, is like your will. It's like,
it's crazy.
and what age do you start thinking about it? It's like, what is a good age to start thinking about it?
I feel like we can have them now, honestly. If you
Shit.
have assets,
True.
if you have kids,
That's crazy.
you should have one.
So it's pretty often that people don't have one written, then, I assume.
Yeah. People always say, like, oh, we're working on it now.
And they're probably not.
Yeah, no.
That's crazy. How do you have to go through an agency or something like that to get a will written?
You can sit down with the lawyer and they
Because what makes it legally, I'm sure that makes
Yeah.
it legally binding then.
yeah.
So I couldn't just type up on my on the laptop.
I mean,
like,
you could, and then bring it to a lawyer and have them
like, sign off on it?
authorize. Yeah.
Huh.
Just
I might
as,
do that.
like-
I might do that later today.
I don't know. I don't have one yet either, but I also don't have kids, so
We should start there should be a group that it's like a club, and you meet and you write a will, or maybe like a little class, because if you're constantly writing a
class,
will,
yeah.
like every month or something, that would be pretty depressing. But
No.
I mean, I'm sure that's another thing, is they're probably constantly changing though too, like the older you get, like you said, relationships
Yeah.
change and stuff like that. That's crazy.
yeah.
Dang. So how long are these like shifts typically when you first start? Or do you have like
12 and a half hours.
do they give you like an option as far as like, do you want to work night? Do you want to work weekends? Do you want to work
Yeah,
weekdays?
and typically as a new grad, you end up on night shift anyways.
You get the
'cause
shitty
you're
ending.
just like at the bottom of
Yeah.
the totem pole. But yeah, night shift, day shift. Typically, you're working either 7p to 7a or 7a to 7p.
Do you prefer the night shift, or do you consider yourself a night owl, or you don't really care?
I did nights for 3 years, and I'm like, mentally, it's not good for anybody. That's why they usually pay a few more dollars for night shift. But I'll be starting my day shift position
Hey,
next week.
started from the bottom now yet?
No, yeah.
That's lit. That's lit.
Seriously.
So the hours are still gonna be the same though, as far as length
Yeah,
wise.
it's just a better quality of life, and I'm starting a business, so I feel like I need to be able to work at the hospital. I mean, like, when you're working night shift, you're going in one day and getting out the next, and that's not helpful, because then I'm sleeping away the next day if I'm off. So it's good for me to be in day shift, because as I'm starting a business, I'm going to be open during normal business hours, not at nighttime.
Yeah.
So I can't be nocturnal anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you worked in Yale and Massachusetts, and then how did you get down to like Charlotte? And you said you were a travel nurse, so these contracts, how long were they typically, or did they vary?
Typically, contracts, you sign them initially for a 13-week period, and then you can extend. When I was in Massachusetts, I did 13 weeks, and I was out. That was it. When I came here,
We're good. Keep going.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
We still got a couple minutes.
All right, cool. So when I came here, I did 13 weeks, and that went by, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to miss you people.
Yeah.
And then I did 8 more weeks, and then I'm like, that went by fast. And then I kept signing on again. But as the pandemic is now 3 years away, pay is changing for travel nursing. And so
For
many
the better
people,
or for the worse?
For the worst. So many people went into travel nursing. It's so saturated. So the pay went
Gotcha.
down for that reason, and it also went down because that pandemic demand is not there anymore. But we do usually see the pay go back up in the fall, October.
Is this a situation for travel nurses where when you do sign a new contract, do you get like an Airbnb or a hotel or what?
Yeah, when I initially got here for that first 13-week assignment, which is 3 months, I ended up renting out from someone, which was basically like Airbnb-ing a place, and they taxed the F out of me. I was
Damn.
paying $2,500 to live in a box.
Damn.
Yeah.
A month?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yep. So they usually recommend that you do that, but when I knew I was going to be here for a longer period of time, I was like, all right, gotta gotta change this because I'm losing more money, if anything.
So are you still on a contract for Charlotte, or are you on?
So I just ended my contract, and I just signed a contract with the same hospital, but they take out the middleman of like the travel agency, so you get a lot more out of it.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're super happy about that. Obviously, you wouldn't have signed if you weren't wanting to do that.
Yeah. I'm like, if I'm already here and you're offering me more money to be pretty much where I've been,
Yeah.
yeah, let's
So
do it.
you're kind of like travel nurses are kind of like that didn't go out, did it? I just bumped it again.
It's still there. It's good.
Okay. I think of actually, let's take a quick break so I can reload these batteries, and yeah, we'll be right back, folks. Taking a quick break. All right, welcome back. We were talking about Jalia's experience as a travel nurse and signing different contracts and stuff like that. And I was just about to say that I just thought of this. Like, I think of travel nurses now as kind of like a professional athletes when they're signing in like free agency and stuff like that, because you probably have, if you're a good travel nurse, do you have like more hospitals that are going to offer you as far as stuff like that goes? No, so it's not based off
It's
of
free game.
performance. Okay.
It's open.
Is it more about like how many you apply to yourself? They're not like reaching out to you, you're reaching out to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But agencies those are the ones who do recruit you.
So what do these agencies do for you?
Well, we'll just say you get a recruiter.
Okay.
They onboard you, connect you with the hospital, don't give you all of your money, but yeah, they make things sound good for you. And they're pretty much supposed to be your backbone and support, and I think that's another reason why I'm going where I'm going instead of staying with an agency, because there's a lot of shade within it. And so, just like I said, there was an influx of nurses in the traveling agency. Like, there's an influx of travel agencies, so not everyone's legit. Like, there's scandals. One of the agencies I was with has a whole lawsuit going because they were not giving people all of the money they signed a contract for. Nonetheless, it's cool, I guess.
Is it possible to be like independent? Is that how it would be looked at? Like, can you get a job at a hospital without having one of these agencies?
Yeah, what I like about what they're doing now when they take out the middleman, a lot of hospitals are coming up with a way to have like an in-house travel. So you're traveling, just like I'm sure ECU had many different hospitals. Did they?
I remember there was one big one as soon as you got into Greenville, but there was like different offices and stuff like that, different buildings throughout Greenville that did different things that were connected to the hospital.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same in any big city. Like here, I know in North Carolina, you guys got Atrium and Novant.
Yeah.
So they have like an in-house travel. So you're going directly, you're your own recruiter at that point.
Yeah.
In a sense. And you're going directly into that hospital system and traveling amongst their different hospitals.
What's something you look for in a hospital when you are applying? I mean, like, I know you just said you signed like kind of a long-term one here in Charlotte, but when you were like actively seeking new contracts and stuff like that, what was something you looked for in a hospital or an area maybe?
I guess like most nurses, I would say we'd consider what technology is being used in the hospital. Because you'll go some places that are really advanced, and then you'll go to some places that are kind of like they don't have the most up-to-date equipment, and a lot of equipment is going to do your job for you. So that, and then the electronic medical record system, is it one that you're familiar with? That's where you're charting everything, and that's a legal thing for nurses. So we need to make sure that as we're documenting stuff, we're documenting appropriately, because if someone wants to take us to court, everything we have done is in that electronic medical record system.
Yeah.
So that's something I would say that we look at. And then as far as like a red flag for a hospital is a hospital that consists of a lot of travel nurses. That means you can't retain you're not retaining your own staff.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then you question, like, why are all of your nurses leaving?
That's a good. So I'm sure. Have you seen hospitals that have a lot of travel nurses and you have avoided applying because of that?
You usually don't know until you're at the hospital.
Wow.
And you're meeting all the nurses.
So there's not like a like a table of context, or I don't know, it's like a glossary of all the people.
No.
Not even like the doctors.
No. Not that I know.
My one of my best friends I grew up with, he's in medical school at Wake Forest right now. Actually, I think he might have just graduated in May. I'm not sure. He's about to do what is it called when doctors, before they do like a transitional year is what, and he's doing it, but he's about to move to Miami, but he's doing his transitional in Myrtle Beach. But he was telling me that before you get to be whatever your special, like for you said you want to do pediatrics, but you're in like med surge.
Yeah.
He had to try out all of them, or like work in each one of them before he was able to do the one he wanted to do. Is that kind of how it was for nurses too?
In nursing school, we do that.
Okay, so, that's what clinicals is?
Yeah, clinicals.
That makes
Capstone
sense.
is where you end up, like, whatever position you're going to take out of college is usually what your capstone is.
Okay.
My capstone was pediatric respiratory nursing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. See, I always heard of people talking about clinicals, and I didn't know. I just thought it was like y'all going and taking like a test or something. I didn't know what clinicals was.
Go and get treated like you worked there already.
And don't get paid for it.
You don't get paid for it. So I had friends that literally were going to clinicals at hospitals they were working at. Mm-hmm. But they're like, I'm literally coming here and doing the same thing that I do at work, but I'm not getting paid for it right now.
Damn.
Yeah. I didn't have that problem.
So now that you do have this long-term contract in Charlotte, are you going to still try to travel around even though you're not like doing much traveling with nursing? Are you still going to travel outside of, just for vacational purposes?
Oh yeah, I love taking vacations. 2021, I've rewarded myself since there was no graduation. Every month I went on a new trip. Yeah, when they opened up those planes for us to travel again, I was somewhere every month.
That's dope. What was the coolest place you went?
I love Jamaica.
Okay. So have you only been once, or how many times have you been?
How many times have I been to Jamaica? I went twice that year.
Twice in 1 year? That's dope.
Jamaica's so beautiful. If you haven't had a chance to go yet, you gotta go.
Never been.
The food's great. The people are great. The beaches are great. Great.
What's not to love, huh?
Oh, it was amazing.
What about for nursing? What's the coolest place like being a travel nurse is taking you?
Here.
Really?
Yeah.
When you got to Charlotte, was it like you just knew like you wanted to be here a little bit longer, or did it take some time to grow on you? Because me personally, when I first got here, I did not really fuck with Charlotte that much. It grew on me about 3 or 4 months into my my stay here.
I would say it took a similar amount of time.
Because what city were you coming from?
Connecticut. I mean, I was coming from home. I was coming from Waterbury.
So it was like a smaller town then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I moved from Raleigh, which is like kind of a big city, not really compared to Charlotte, but this place is just so much more fast-paced. So was that like a culture shock for you?
It was, but I had lived in Pineville when I first got here. Okay. So it wasn't just like here, like it's kind of out the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is honestly, I kind of like the area because you're still close enough to the actual city where you can go and be there in like 10 minutes, but you can also get away if it's too loud.
And there's like Target. There's like
Target. That's all you need.
That's all I need. I know people tell me I'm crazy. I go grocery shopping at Target.
I mean, they do have everything. They got candles. They got
everything.
It all. Yeah, I've gotten I mean, like we're damn near neighbors for real.
And I just found out there's another one 15 minutes away.
Oh really?
Yeah. Damn. 14 minutes away.
I will say one of my least favorite things about, and I don't know if y'all had this in Connecticut. It was probably Wawa. Did y'all have Wawa?
Nah. They have it in like New Jersey, but no. Okay, so.
In a lot of towns and cities in North Carolina, they have a place called Sheetz. I don't know if you've ever been there.
No.
Have you ever heard of it? It's like, this is so stupid of me to be talking about a gas station and how it's better than other gas stations, but they have Quick Trip here. Fuck you, Quick Trip. Bring me Sheetz because Sheetz has Sheetz has these screens when you walk in and you can punch in some food. 2 hot dogs for $1. Give me that. They got mac and cheese bites.
The glizzies.
Bro. I'm a glizzy gobbler. I'm a glizzy gobbler. I love glizzies. But bro, Sheetz is just like superior compared to, I don't even know how we got onto this. But that's now I know, because that's my one drawback of Charlotte is they don't have Sheetz. And I hate going to Quick Trip because Quick Trip just pisses me off, man. It's always crowded as fuck.
Next time I go to Raleigh, I'm going to make sure I'm on E so that I have to go to Sheetz.
Go to Sheetz.
Yeah.
And definitely order some food. Just try it. Like, it's gas station food, so you got to take it for what it's worth.
I like the macaroni bites, but
They
I'm
are
not
fire.
eating a glizzy.
You don't have to get a hot dog. I will say 2 hot dogs for $1 is very alarming. That should be a red flag. But growing up in Davidson County and going and being a broke college student, 2 hot dogs for $1 was like, you know,
that's luxury eats right there.
Everyone used to meet in the Sheetz parking lot too. I need to get off Sheetz dick right now. Like, I've been talking about
Sheetz. Cumberland Farms.
Okay.
You know what that is?
No.
Oh,
what is it?
Cumberland Farms. It's a gas station, but I like them because they had coffee for like $1. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
What would you say like Connecticut is known for?
Being next
besides
to New York.
UConn, being next to New York, being New York's neighbor.
Rhode Island.
So there's really like not shit to do there. What was something you would do for fun? Like if you either lived there now or growing up in high school, what was something that you did besides cheerleading? I know you said you cheerleaded and you played the flute and stuff like that, but what, if you and your friends were about to go do something like an activity or something like that?
Go to New York.
Literally just go to New York.
I'm not even trying. Connecticut is not a terrible place. I'll say that.
There's just not much to do.
The governor is amazing. But Connecticut is a place for well-off families. That's somewhere like you raise your family if you're well off. Because then you've got like places like Greenwich and is it Stamford, like pretty expensive places,
Yeah.
beautiful homes. Like Connecticut is really a beautiful place. We got the 4 seasons and the fall is the most beautiful. That was the hardest part about moving here. I was like, it's not getting cold enough for me yet. Like
So
it's
you like the cold
October
weather?
and I only need a hoodie.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
So all right, but that's funny because you say you like Jamaica a lot,
I love Jamaica.
but you like the cold weather.
I like the fall season
I was gonna
and
ask
the
spring or
winter.
fall.
Ugh, my birthday's in the spring.
Okay,
But I love the fall. Fall, for sure.
so
October, like I could smell the pumpkin spice.
I love
right now.
I love fall, and to me, October. I mean, I'm a August baby, but like besides August, and I guess I'll
Virgos?
no, I'm a Leo.
Oh, okay.
I'm on like some weird cusp though.
Yeah.
I'm on like a weird.
What
I don't
day?
know. The 19th, but there was like a. I don't know, because there's so much that goes into that with like your sun and setting and moon rising or
Do you
something
know
like
yours?
that. I've looked it up several times, but it's so much, and the only reason I've looked it up is because I'm gonna say women because I've heard that female is women. I've had women tell me to look it up, so I have, and it tells you I guess a lot, but it's very vague.
It does. I will say that you appear as your rising sign. We appear as our rising sign. That's like, so initially you might not see me as a Pisces. My rising is a Virgo, and I'm a Leo moon. Yeah.
So you're like a mixture of all of those, but you resemble one the most. So why do we say we're a Leo versus like, because you say what our rising is what we
that's what you
resemble the
present
most?
as. So when
Okay.
someone first meets you, that's kind of what their interpretation of you
could
is.
be wrong though.
Could be.
It could be.
But then, like you said, there's so much that goes into it. Like, I'm an Aries and Mercury, so when Mercury's in retrograde, I appear very much as an Aries.
Do you believe in all that stuff?
I do.
Like you think it's like
I think it's
a fact
on.
almost, I guess.
Yes.
I agree for the most part. Like a lot of it's just super vague to me, so I don't know. It's just hard for me to like. What's something that, because you're a Pisces, so what's something that is like super Pisces of you? Most Pisces thing about you. What's a
Pisces.
Pisces. What's a stereotype about Pisces?
Oh, that we're emotional.
Do you think that's true about yourself?
I think with reason we can be emotional, but I wouldn't say that I appear as the most emotional person.
Okay.
But back in the day, I think I was a little more emotional, but
No,
I have control of my feelings.
you've controlled the emotional roller coaster.
Absolutely. What I will say about Pisces is my trainer back home / life coach is also a Pisces. And my favorite analogy was that, because the Pisces is 2 fish swimming the opposite way. And you can either be upstream or downstream. And I think that's very accurate about Pisces. Like, we can really go either which way.
Mm-hmm.
Just depends on who you are.
Just depends on what route you're trying to take. All right, I got a couple of sort of like quick hitters. I guess it depends on if you got any cool backstories or, anyways. All right, the best part about being a nurse.
The best part, I love when I make someone's day. Like, the most simple gesture can really make a patient feel really good.
Mm-hmm.
So getting that feedback from them always reminds me of my why I do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we also haven't touched on this. You have mentioned it, but we haven't touched on it. You said you're starting a business.
Yeah.
What's this business? Because
a year after graduating college, I went to school to become an esthetician, and so I'm going back to school in the fall to become an APRN, but med spas. I want to open up a med spa eventually, which is where I'll do Botox, fillers, etc.
You got a name for it yet?
Right
you gave me a
now,
business card, so I didn't know how far along it is.
So I'll be doing some advanced aesthetics when I open up my suite here in Charlotte. But the name is The Spa by EstheticRN.
Okay.
So initially, I was just EstheticRN,
mm-hmm.
but then I brought it up a notch by adding The Spa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put all the links to the socials and stuff in the description and all that. And, we'll definitely be following along with that. So, what made you want to do that? Just becoming your own boss?
Yeah, because it's, like you said, with the pandemic, we didn't know what was going on, really. And as we touched on before, so many people were losing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that there won't be something else that can happen that puts nurses out of their jobs?
Mm-hmm.
See, robots are taking over. But what brought me to it was I had my own esthetician, and she's like, girl, aesthetic nursing is really where the money's at. I'm like, is it? And then I ended up falling in love with skincare and the beauty industry as a whole. So
naturally, as a girl, that kind of went hand in hand, huh?
I guess.
Or maybe not. That's stereotypical.
I feel like a lot
Is
of
that
guys are
misogynistic of me to say?
No, not really. I feel like everyone should be into beauty, though.
That's a good
everyone
point.
should care about you care about your skin. We were just talking about pimples.
I do. And it's funny because right after that, I just started really
Stop touching it.
Yeah,
Stop
right.
touching your face.
You made me think about it. I just started doing not a skincare routine, but where I have a face wash and stuff like that. I guess it's just a routine.
Yes.
It's weird to say that because I don't ever think of myself as having a skincare routine. But yeah, I guess I do a face wash and this moisturizer when I get out of the shower now. And now I can tell when I don't do it, my skin is bro, so dry and crackling down
and
there.
You don't like your dry skin, right?
Nah.
So you like skincare.
So what are you gonna have a specific thing that you're gonna offer at this? What is it called again? At the suite, yeah.
Yeah, I mean microneedling, which is.
Are you gonna do facials and stuff?
Yeah, facials and body treatment.
It's a whole spa though. You can come there and relax. What's the vibes gonna be like?
Good vibes only.
We playing R&B?
Honestly, I feel like whatever the person wants to hear.
Oh, it's gonna be in their hands.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I go with a white noise or the sound of rain and stuff like that.
Okay.
But if you want R&B, you get R&B.
I've only ever came close to a spa day once, and I got a massage once in college, and it was kind of cool. They didn't give me the choice to play my own music. That would have been dope.
Oh, yeah, they don't.
So what if you have someone that comes in and they're trying to do because I feel with spas you're supposed to relax or whatever. What if they come in and they're turning on some Chief Keef or
You know what's so funny?
that relaxes you?
No. I went with someone to go get massages, and I was so into the music that they were playing at the spa, and this person it was out of their comfort zone, and they just started playing the most ratchet.
Damn.
Yeah.
Was it embarrassing?
Yeah.
Were you kind of
Yeah. I was I couldn't even relax.
That's funny. No. You also just mentioned AI a second ago, and I feel this is kind of a big deal now because it's such a big part of our society and culture.
Yes.
How much of a effect has that had on the nursing world and because obviously you're going to need a human there at the end of the day, regardless of how advanced technology gets. I don't think you should be able to trust a computer to just sit there and take care of someone who's like on their deathbed or something, you know. You still need a human, but at the same time, we're probably going to get to that point eventually. So like, what's that like for a nurse?
So I think it's to an extent where technology comes in. Like, health is not broad. Like, it's a big thing. Like, we're made up of, like, this is our health. You know? So when I refer to the technology part of it, right now, all I've really seen is, like, you could get connected to, like, a heart monitor, and instead of me having to sit there and watch a clock for 60 seconds to see how fast your heart is beating, the computer's gonna do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's ways that it's actually gonna, I mean, like, obviously it would be made to help, but like, to an extent it's helping the person, but is it helping the nurse because it's taking away jobs too? Like,
it's taking away tasks, I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a better way to put it for sure.
Yeah.
Because let me go check this battery. One more break, folks. Word from the sponsors. BRB. Welcome back, folks. Took a short break. Word from the sponsors, and we changed the batteries of the camera, and we're back. Can't remember where we left off exactly, but I'm gonna ask you some quick hitters. So,
like, who my favorite female rapper is? It's Nicki Minaj.
You were just talking about Beyonce, though.
That.
So Nicki over everybody?
I said female Beyonce over everybody.
Okay. What about R&B?
R&B?
Yeah, who's your favorite R&B artist?
Man, I saw SZA in March.
Okay, I bet that was a crazy concert. She has like a cult following,
on the
bro.
Floor.
On the floor?
Yes. I just saw Beyonce. I was on the floor for Beyonce.
Oh, you meant like on the floor, like at the at the concert on the floor, like on the floor level, or you were on the floor crying?
No. No. I was on the floor level.
Okay. At first, I thought you meant on the floor, like crying. I was like, come on,
no.
girl.
No. I was on the floor level.
I actually was just listening to, what was it? It was a TikTok or something earlier, and this is a crazy question to think about because you don't really see it that much. But like, what is it about guy singers that causes like mass hysteria from women? Like literally, if you think of like the Beatles or Michael Jackson or Drake or like, and you know, any modern artist today, Post Malone, like, women absolutely lose their mind at the sight.
Women are horny.
Okay, all right. That's
I
fair.
couldn't really explain why else. Like, I don't know. There's nobody that.
Because what would be the guy equivalent? Because I can't tell you that if I saw like Margot Robbie in person, even though she's not like an artist, shit. If I saw Rihanna in person too, I would probably like.
I don't think you would cry though.
Nah, I wouldn't cry.
They were different back in the day. I don't know.
Like, yeah, like the Beatles literally caused people to like seize up almost. Yeah. But all right, hold up. Got a little off topic, but that's all good. So this is a would you rather. Would you rather try to survive a zombie apocalypse or be stranded on an island all by yourself?
Damn. I'ma just be stranded on the island by myself.
Really?
Yeah.
How are your survival skills? Do you consider yourself like an outdoorsy?
Fishing. I think I'll eat good.
You'll catch some fish.
Yeah,
you can start a fire?
I'm sure. I went to Girl Scout camp.
Were you a Girl Scout?
I was.
No way.
On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help all people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law.
All right. Yo, I was not expecting all that. I have some buddies that were Eagle Scouts. So that's hilarious.
Yes.
So you actually think if you were in a survival situation like that on an island, you would be able to make do with the surroundings?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I
would be done in 10 minutes, bro.
I mean, if a zombie is coming after me, I'm just going to let it take me. I have more of a fighting chance if I'm stranded on an island.
You know why I would want it to be a zombie apocalypse over stranded on an island is two reasons. One is because, like I just said, it would take me 10 minutes to perish on an island. There's no Wi-Fi, and there's no shade. I mean, there's probably shade, but there's no air conditioning. I would die. I'm too pampered in life to try to survive like that. But also, with the zombie apocalypse, I think about it so often about like what weapon I would use or like where I would hide. Like when I'm driving down the road and I see like a certain building or something like that that's like in the cut, and I'm like, dang, like if a zombie apocalypse happened, that's where I'm hiding.
So what weapon would you use?
It depends on where I'm at. That's what I'm saying though, is like I've thought out enough places and seen enough places where I'm like, I would know what weapon I would have. First of all, I've also thought about if zombies would be able to run or not, because in some movies they can run and in some movies they can't run. So like if they're running zombies, I think I'm fucked.
See, the problem is I think so much into things, and I feel like the government will create the right zombies and make sure that they
always got to have a say in it, man.
Yeah.
You can't even have a zombie apocalypse
I
without
feel
the
like
government getting involved.
we might see one. Our generation has seen some shit.
Nah, for real.
Yeah.
And with like all the like, all right, we didn't really touch on this, but like, is that a concern for nurses? Because like we're kind of on the brink of war right now with like China and potentially, there's like a conflict in Ukraine and Russia and stuff. Is that like something
no one talks about it.
They don't talk about it like that? No. That's always been in the back of my mind. Like if I were to get drafted to the war, bro, y'all need to find someone else, man.
I remember I thought they were drafting us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like 2 years ago.
For like war, for nursing?
Yeah, for war.
Damn. Yeah. See, whew, I would not survive.
I thought we were done. I was like,
that's it. But you're a nurse and you're a Girl Scout, so like you literally have like probably the two best tools of survival right there.
No.
Nah. Not for war. All right, I got another would you rather. Would you rather win the lottery or live twice as long?
Win the lottery. I don't want to be old.
What about not age? All right, win the lottery or not age. Stop aging at like 18.
No, I want to win the lottery.
Win the lottery?
Yeah.
What is the lottery right now? Probably like 400 million.
Someone in Connecticut just won.
Really?
Yeah.
That's probably. I feel like Connecticut is such a small state that y'all probably knew who it was, or it's probably like a cousin or something like that. No.
No, but the like possibility that it could have been like
it's higher than
it's a higher possibility.
Yeah. Okay. Another would you rather: Hakuna Matata or YOLO?
Hakuna Matata.
That's what you're living by.
Yeah.
It means no worries
for the rest of your days.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. What's your favorite Disney Channel movie?
Oh my God! Was Xenon Z3 Disney?
That was the alien one.
Zoom, 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 and then they, yeah.
That sounded like
Xenon Z3.
That sounded like a Cheetah Girls song. Honestly.
No, it was in that movie. Raven Simone was in that movie too.
Was she really?
Yeah.
She was literally Disney Channel when I was growing up.
She was the
on
Beyonce
everything.
of Disney.
That's a good. That's a good way to put it.
I'm not even gonna do that. She was the Beyonce of Disney.
She was.
That's a computer.
That's So Raven was
great.
probably the greatest Disney show ever.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Now Orlando be tripping.
Bro, how crazy is it that Disney stars and Nickelodeon stars, child stars in general, like seems like they have it made, and then they just turn out to be like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it does to you, but it's crazy. That is crazy.
You know what that taught me? That you don't idolize anything or anybody because you really don't even know what demons people are fighting.
Oh, for real?
You don't. So I will never wish that I was someone other than myself.
Yeah.
You don't know what people are going through.
That shit is crazy because, especially with Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, they're like portrayed as being on these shows as like the happy kids and stuff like that. But like even with the girl from iCarly, she wrote that book about her mom, and the title
she was like extorting her.
Yeah, she was, and the title of the book was "I'm Glad My Mom Is Dead" or something like that. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
but it's because her mom was like treating her like shit and stuff.
Oh, I said I meant exploiting, but yeah.
Yeah, I know what you meant. She's crazy. All right, what are some stereotypes about nurses that are either good or bad?
Yesterday, someone told me that nurses have a stick up their A double money sign. Not nice. I saw on Twitter that 2 out of 3 nurses confirm that they cheat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense though. Because like, I mean, I guess it depends on what the other person's career is, but y'all's schedule is kind of like hectic in a way, huh? Because it's changing pretty often.
I don't know if that means go cheat. But
That's a good point. That doesn't give you the right to go cheat.
I don't know. That was wild, though.
What was the other two? You said they were top 3 professions?
No, it was 2 of 3 nurses.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you
yeah.
said top 3 professions
No.
was nurses. Oh, so 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3 nurses. Yes. Yes.
What? I read something or I heard something one time on a podcast, or maybe it was in like a news article or something, that pilots were the most likely to cheat on their spouse.
That makes sense.
Makes-
They'd be in the air
yeah.
with all these baddies. Like,
Yeah.
that's free game.
Nah, for real.
You're not even on the land.
2 out of 3 nurses cheat.
It's
I know
legal.
I am
No, I'm
not.
kidding.
I'm sorry, but I'm not marrying someone that's a nurse now, knowing that's that. That's crazy. 2 out of 3.
So, you said stereotype.
That's a crazy.
I don't think that was a true statistic.
Okay. That's
They
a good
need
point.
to do a lot more research behind that.
I want to, yeah. We need to look that up then, see how true that is. Because if 2 out of 3, that's
To my future husband, I will not cheat on you, I promise. Unless you give me a reason to. No, I'll leave before I cheat.
Has it ever happened in an instance where, or have you ever been in an instance in the hospital where you've had like a patient who was like hitting on you or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
How awkward is that? How do you deal with it?
I just change the subject
Yeah.
to what their care is related to, or I just walk away.
Is it one of those instances where they're like saying it and you're like, okay, like whatever, like just blowing it off, or you just completely,
I just disregard it. I'm a professional.
that's what you were trained to do? Damn.
I know people that'll entertain it. I'm just not the one.
Well, like, I've worked in restaurants growing up and, like, been a bartender and server and worked in the kitchen and all that. So, like, I know about flirting for a tip. And I can understand how a bartender or a server would. Yeah, exactly. So, like, that's what I was going to get at. Is, like, y'all wouldn't even be really flirting for a tip. It would more be flirting just because you're either bored or probably because, like, you're into that person, I guess.
And you're not bored at work. There's always so much to do. So
What does a nurse do on their break?
not get paid.
Yo, but, like, what do y'all wind
Like,
down to do
If
on the
we
break?
do take a break, eat.
But you don't normally take a break?
I'm not gonna lie. This last hospital night shift, we used to take naps during our break. Like, we have a whole Zen room.
That's
yeah,
cool.
It's got a couch in it.
That should be on your
Massages your
list
legs.
of your checklist on what you look
Yes,
for.
Green flags right there.
Yeah, green flags.
Yeah. Seriously, that's why I love this place. I've never been to a hospital that, like, has at least that for their nurses.
And that's is this are we allowed to say, is it atrium?
It's atrium.
Atrium,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know if
Yeah.
we were allowed to say that or not. Atrium is, I mean, I guess it's just Novant Atrium here, but before that, and for Scythe, have you ever been to Winston-Salem?
Yeah.
So for Scythe Hospital and Baptist Hospital were the 2 hospitals there, but they weren't like Novant related for the longest. What are these Novants and stuff like that? Are these just like families that buy the rights to the hospital or what?
I think it's like a contract or something that the hospitals come up with, and I'm sure that the places they're taking over benefit from it in some way. So that's usually why they get to.
Yeah, I never understood why they had like Novant and stuff like that. But then you see them everywhere. But then they have different hospitals. Like I said, in Winston they have Baptist too. Is there any crazy hospitals here, or anything at our hospitals here in Atrium or at Novant that like someone would have to come out of state to come here for that kind of care?
I don't know, but I know that Atrium was like the leading in heart health.
Okay, that's
or
good.
Or in stroke. I forget which one.
Cardiovascular disease was like #1 killer at one point. I don't know if it still is. Is it still up there?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Everything's always changing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I guess people don't smoke as much cigarettes anymore, but also like, do you see a lot of people
But
with
people
like,
are vaping
that's
like
what I was
crazy.
gonna say. Do you see a lot of like stuff related to that at all?
I mean, in my own care that I've done, no. But I've definitely known people who have had to be hospitalized
Because of that.
because of it.
That's crazy.
Like, I remember there was a point where people were like coughing up blood from their vapes.
I remember that.
Yeah, but I'm sure like because it's still so new, a lot of the effects that we'll see are gonna be like 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, 15 or 16 when I got caught with my first vape.
How old was I? I was probably the same age.
That's really sad, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't even know why. I didn't even need it. Like, a lot of people, like, nowadays, you know, they do it to not smoke cigarettes. But me, I was just doing it just because I thought it was cool.
Because it was so accessible at a
Yeah.
young age. It's like, they market it to young people, though. That's
With the flavors
thing.
and stuff.
Yeah. And they're cute. They make them cute now. I see, like, celebrities on social media promoting them. I don't do it anymore. Like, I've done it before, but I don't think anyone should really do it because it's like,
Did you ever have a cig phase?
nah,
Nah.
never,
Nah.
never.
I did for a little bit. I did when I was like 18 or 19. But again, it wasn't because I was like addicted to smoking or anything. It was literally because I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
It was so easy for me to quit too.
That's usually, I feel like, the reason why for some people. Other people, like, when they start it, they see how it eases their stress. See, it's such a psychological thing because people think that it helps their anxiety, but I actually think those things make you more anxious, which is why you end up needing it because it soothes the anxiety. But it's like a withdrawal.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You got anything else coming up that you want to shout out? Besides your like business all right, so when's like the official drop date or like
In the fall, we just had some branding things going on. Good things going on.
and that'll be a suite here in Charlotte?
Yeah, in Charlotte.
Where you don't have an address yet or anything for it?
No.
Okay. Well, whenever it drops, you will let us know, and we're going to put that shit out.
I will let everyone know, and we're going to have a beautiful grand opening and be super successful. Manifesting it.
So coming this fall.
Yeah, coming this fall.
This has been episode 12 with Jalia West, like Kanye. That's what she told me before he went crazy.
He was my uncle before he went crazy.
We got to separate the artist from the art. But anyways, appreciate you, Jalia, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank
Likewise.
you. It was a great story, and we enjoyed hearing it. Look forward to seeing Jalia's business open in the fall for her, I can't even say the word, esthetician.
Yes, aesthetics. You can follow me on Instagram at EstheticRN with an E.
And then do you want to shout out your personal Instagram or TikToks or anything like that? Or
Yeah, I be on TikTok a little bit.
TikTok's the wave.
What's my name up there?
If you can't remember, it'll be I'm putting all the links in the description
It's
too.
like
So
Jalia Maya the nurse, something like that. You can follow me on Instagram at JaliaXO.
You got LinkedIn? I'm just kidding. I mean, you might.
Shut
Shit.
up.
I just made a LinkedIn like a couple
No.
months ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
I feel like if my job wasn't as in demand as it is, I would have had one.
Went
I don't need it.
that route, but you got your job fresh out. So
Fresh out.
all right. Well, this has been episode 12. Make sure y'all go follow Jalia on all her socials, and give us a like and a follow. Until next time, y'all, stay blessed. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Namaste.
Namaste.